Morty, you gotta, come on. You gotta come with me.
What, Rick? What's going on?
I got a surprise for you,
It's the
Morty.
middle of the night. What are you talking about?
Come on, I got a surprise for you. Come on, hurry up. Gotta go.
Ow,
Gotta get out
ow,
of here.
you're tugging me
Come on,
too
I got a
hard.
surprise for you, Morty.
An innocuous-looking teal cube sits on a pedestal in the middle of this room. Atop the cube is an inviting button. Engraved on the back of the pedestal is a sentence none of you can read, no matter how hard you try. Oh, okay, you want to press the button? Alright, you press the button, and instantly, a thin, blue, humanoid bipedal creature appears next to you. He looks over at you.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me!
What do you say in response? Oh, you push the button another time? Okay. Another blue bipedal humanoid-looking creature with a bulbous head appears, and he looks over at you, and...
I'm
you
Mr.
press it
Meeseeks,
2 more times?
Look at me!
Okay.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me! Look
You
at
now
me!
have 4 of these creatures sitting around next to you. What is your next course of action? It wasn't too long ago that Smiteworks implemented the ability to trigger sounds in Fantasy Grounds Unity. And when they did that, they released it with the ability to couple with Sirenscape and to allow local sounds to be played. This particular video discusses how to set up your Linux environment in order to have local sounds played either through your headphones, speakers, piped into some other application, any way to get audio that's local out to your players. And this particular instance, this video, I am using Kubuntu 23.04. There is a new version that has been released, but this particular Linux distribution comes installed and configured automatically to make use of Pipewire and WirePlumber. And so Pipewire is a replacement to the PulseAudio jack combination that used to exist, or still exists, but more people are moving over to Pipewire, as it is both an audio and video technology for Linux, and enables both of those for people to make use of. So we are going to set it up so that we can play sounds, whether it be like a one-shot
I'm attacking the darkness!
that may get triggered when someone swings and misses, or maybe it's something you want to have in the background as kind of mute music, and that way you can play that as well. So those are the 2 things, well, not just 2 things, but those are the things that we're looking to implement here. So since we're working with Pipewire, a little information about Pipewire, which is important for setting up our environment, is that Pipewire dynamically creates and destroys objects that are related to the audio being channeled through your environment. And that it works for the most part if you're just a single individual user at your desktop running applications and just have the audio being piped directly to you. But since we were looking to share this audio with other players, whether it be at a physical table or if it's online, you want to be able to pipe audio so that other people can hear it as well. We will look at different configurations later on to look at the online aspect, but since Pipewire dynamically creates these objects, it makes it difficult to pre-plan how your audio is going to be handled by the environment. Very simplistic situations or environment configurations can make easy use of this, but once you actually start getting just even a little bit more complex, it becomes a little bit tricky, because, as I said, the sound object gets dynamically created, it plays its sound, and gets dynamically destroyed. So we need to come up with a way that we can set up an environment where we have a static element that we can work with in order to listen for audio or have audio play to, and then redirect that audio stream to wherever we want to go. And we can do that in Pipewire, but first we have to create a configuration file and create what's called a coupled stream. In our particular case, we'll be creating a virtual coupled stream. And to do that, we need to create a file in a directory on the system and enter some text in there to define the coupled stream. So initially, we need to have a directory and file, and that is what is being displayed on your screen now. If you need to, just go ahead and pause at any particular point, and if you need to look at the information, but I will also include the text in the description for the video when I upload it. So in this particular case, we need to create the virt-coupled-stream.conf file under the .config pipewire.conf.d directory. Anybody who uses Linux on any kind of regular basis probably understands or recognizes the general format that is being used here, but we need to create that directory and we need to create that file. Now the contents of the file are going to be a simple little definition for our audio classes. In this particular case, we're going to create an audio sink and we're going to create an audio source. The two of them together create what Pipewire calls its coupled stream. And in this particular case, we're going to call it virtual, just because it's not a physical device that is already in your system. We are creating these objects to exist and persist, regardless of whether or not a particular device is plugged in. So this is the text that you will be putting into your virt-coupled-stream.conf file. So go ahead and copy, or this information again will be included in this textual section of the video when I upload it. Now this will create a singular sink for your system, and once you have done that and you've created the file, you put these contents in, you will need to reboot your system in order for it to show up. It's a lot easier than trying to stop and start services or anything else. Just reboot your system and your environment will now have these two virtual elements in it that did not exist before. And once that's done, we're done with the Pipewire configuration aspect. Now we have to do a little manipulation with WirePlumber, and this is going to require command line work. But it's not too complex. It's pretty standard. Probably should have cleared this beforehand. Anyway, WirePlumber comes with a command line interface executable. It's called wpctl for WirePlumber control, and it has just a couple of commands that we're going to be using in order to help set up our environment. The first one is we're going to use the wpctl status command in order to display what our environment looks like. In this particular case, this is my environment. Your environment is going to look a little different, but the only thing that we're really concerned about is this section for audio, and specifically excuse me, this section for the audio sync, because when Pipewire dynamically creates those sound elements to play it, it is going to use whatever has this asterisk as its device that it connects to in order to play that sound. So generally, like before I even did all this, it would always connect to my Zyberia headphones. So ID number 69 here. And so whenever I watched a YouTube video or played an audio file or anything else like that, since the asterisk existed at 69 when I first did this, it would play all my audio through this sync. Well, now that I've created this virtual sync, I want it to redirect it to this virtual sync so that any dynamically created audio will by default use the sync. In this particular case, I have two syncs that I use, and I have defined my default to use this one. And we define the default with another WirePlumber control command. It's pretty easy. It's wire. Probably it is set default followed by your ID. So in the prior instance where I had the status, each item had an ID. You would then type set default as this, hit enter, and it would set your default device that you've indicated as default. So in this particular case, it would have reset this to my prep sync as the default device to do it. Play audio. There's also other defaults that you can configure, but this is the only one that we're concerned about at this point because we just need to have a static element for our dynamically created elements connect to. Alright, so basically we now have Pipewire configured, we now have WirePlumber set up correctly to display exactly or to use what the default device we want to use, and now we need to adjust our patch bay. So the latest version of Kubuntu using WirePlumber and Pipewire also have a graphical user patch bay utility called qwpgraph. This is installed by default. You don't have to worry about adding it. It should already exist on your system. And it's very similar to what the PulseAudio jack folks used to have. In this particular case, show a quick little diagram. Alright, so basically your graph device is going to show what your system's ID'd elements look like and how they're wired together. So as you look at this screen, what you're looking at is over here, these are my headphone speakers on the far right, the Zyberia headphones. Over on the far bottom left, this is my Zyberia mono microphone. This is my headphones microphone. And these are the devices, so this audio is streamed from my virtual sync from this monitor. Any audio that goes here goes over to my headphones. And any audio that's coming from my microphone is being fed into, in this particular case, a Discord input device. The Fantasy Grounds application has an audio element that Pipewire has detected, so it created this object and attached it automatically to my virtual sync. This is the default sync that you're going to have in your environment. It doesn't match my environment because I took this screenshot earlier when I was testing things. But your transient audio objects are going to appear, hook into your virtual sync, and play the audio, and then it will disappear. So for FGU, it never disappears. But this ALSA plugin for VLC, this image here is actually going to disappear once the audio plays. I took a screen capture just as the audio was playing, so I had this element, but the ALSA plugin VLC object here will disappear as soon as the audio is completed playing, at least in my configuration. We'll get to making that happen here shortly. So the audio element is created, it plays its sound, it dumps it into the sync. This sync then pipes that information out of the virtual source, the element that's coupled to it, in this particular case, also going to Discord input device. In addition to that, since that audio is now attached in that sync area, the audio is also going to the headphones, so I can hear it. That way I can confirm that the audio is playing. So when I hit,
It's getting weird.
that it's getting weird, it pops up, it goes to the sync, and then the sync pipes it to two different locations. In this particular setup, the Discord input device is what is defined as the input device within Discord. The Discord output device is the device that's configured in Discord as my output device, so whether it be headphones, speakers, or whatever. So in this particular instance, I am feeding into Discord either my voice or the sound that plays in the sync, maybe both at the same time. So right here, I'm the only one in my audio channel at the moment, so any audio that comes through, nobody else is going to hear it. But if I were to play a sound, or if I was to talk, all of it would come through my account within this channel, because that is both audio sources are streaming into that Discord input device. So that is basically the setup. You're going to basically you will connect a strand from one to the other if it doesn't already exist, or you may have to reorganize things in order to make it work out the way you want it to work out. I've done a few modifications to VLC in order to provide the type of behavior I want to see in it, which is basically I want to be able to play a sound or song or anything else concurrently with other things, and I want the VLC to close and disappear when it's done playing. So with some of the newer versions of VLC, you will have the ability to manage those types of elements within it. For me, what I do is under media, I tell it to quit at the end of the playlist. This is what causes VLC to close when it's done playing an audio track. Let's see. Under tools, preferences, I have the interface. Go to advanced settings. Older versions of VLC say advanced, newer versions just have a show settings simple or all. Anyway, still the same basic information is plugged in there. Under interface, I don't believe I'm looking at the right area. No, I'm not. Okay. Go back to simple. Let's see. Alright, audio. Nope, interface. Oh, this interface. I apologize, I went off on a tangent there. Anyway, if you notice down here, allow only one instance, use only one instance when started from File Manager. Both of these are turned off. This is what allows me to play the sounds concurrently. For my audio devices, the output module is set to ALSA audio output. Pipewire still uses the ALSA kernel module to connect with in order to help manage your audio environment. So this output module in some applications is going to register as an ALSA audio output. I guess it just really depends on what application you're using and how it actually interprets the devices in your environment. That's going to dictate exactly what it is that you see. In this particular case, the device is set to the PulseAudio sound server. I do not have PulseAudio installed on this system. However, Pipewire is still relatively new and PulseAudio is still widely used, so they have created a wrapper for Pipewire that has a PulseAudio appearance for applications. So you can choose PulseAudio if your application doesn't observe Pipewire yet, and Pipewire will intercept those signals for PulseAudio and reroute them to its Pipewire configurations. Under advanced settings, or show all, you're going to want to change your interface settings. Now, I will show that traditionally, and especially if you're in Windows, you would need to configure or turn on this web component of VLC. I'm not entirely sure of the back-end elements and how it's working, but you don't need to have that on in the Linux environment in order for your desktop to intercept the audio signal and use it to play to whatever device, or be channeled through your environment. So just note that for the most part, you're told to turn on the web component for this. You don't need it, not in Linux. You may need it in Windows, but not here. As another option that I do under Qt, I tell it to start VLC with only system tray icon. I do this so that when I'm looking at and I'm GMing and I do play a sound,
I'm attacking the darkness.
I don't want a big VLC window to pop up, and when it's done playing, I want it to disappear. So if you notice in the bottom right, something came up, and it, you know, showed the sound, played it, and then it goes away once it's done playing the sound. So as far as VLC goes, that's it. That's all the configuration that I use for it. The system. So that's the VLC setup that I have, and that's basically it for setting up the applications within your environment in order to do it. The complexities really start when you start introducing other elements, especially if you want to channel your audio through online means, such as Discord. Things start to get a little bit more advanced as far as your configuration setup goes. Not a lot, but enough where you may have to spend some time fiddling around with some settings in order to get things to work right. As I said, in this particular patch bay display, this is using Discord as a simple configuration. Basically, you've got Fantasy Grounds, you got your Discord set up. Any audio that you play that's local to the environment gets played. It uses the same microphone or the same microphone object or input into Discord that your speaking microphone does, and that can be kind of an issue, especially depending on, obviously if you have music or sound effects or things like that. It doesn't give people who don't want to hear it or who need to adjust the volumes of things any real control. Now, there is an application called qwpgraph, which does give you the ability to create like an audio bot that you can connect to on the same environment in the same system, so you don't have to try to worry about trying to run multiple versions of Discord with different accounts and getting things set up that way. That would just be ugly. But with qwpgraph, it does allow you to kind of set up an environment where you can have sounds piped into Discord. Here, I'll show you. Let's see. So set that to table there. And what that'll do is that'll give you an additional thing, so that under Discord, now I have me, and now I have my audio bot that I had created earlier for qwpgraph, now both in the same channel. So they're separate now, so my voice can be managed separately from the sound effects, and anybody who's listening in Discord can now adjust the volumes for those two audio streams to best suit them. The Discord input device is still the same. The only real big difference here is that the Kenku device output, or no, that's not it. The Kenku's device input is going to be, whatever your sync is defined as. In this particular case, for me, that would be my prep source. Now this is an image of a simpler version. I'm going to show you what mine looks like so you can kind of see how things look and how you might have to organize stuff a little bit. Alright, so here's mine. Now the reason it's got all this stuff in it is because I'm obviously recording in OBS using OBS Studio, so I've got that. But so this is how the graph can get, and it can get a lot more complex than this. I use two syncs, which I will show you how to do in a moment, but I use two syncs. Here's my microphone. It is going directly into Discord. Discord is configured to have my input device be my microphone, my output device be my post-process sync. So all the other sounds that happen in chat are going to get piped out to my sync, and then OBS Desktop picks it up, and my headphones pick it up. Now, since I added Kenku, I don't have to have this anymore, because what's happening is I can disconnect this, and any audio that gets played at the system level, so any, let's say I run a sound here, let me see, break a long one. Here's VLC.
Morty, you gotta
So
come
it's
on.
now
You gotta come with me.
piping audio into my sync.
Surprise for you, Morty.
The audio is going into Kenku FM, which is playing in Discord.
Gotta get out of here.
This audio that you hear is coming from Discord output device to OBS desktop and my headphones. So now any quick little audio that pops up will go into Kenku FM input, and that gets, because I've got my little audio bot that it's connected to or coupled with, it'll play it through there, which my output device takes all the channel output and channels it to these other locations. My microphone obviously still goes to OBS and Discord, but I don't need to have my sync here directly connected to this other sync, because all this sync is really doing is it's taking the Discord output and channeling it to my OBS desktop and my headphones. If I didn't have Kenku, or if I disconnected it, then I would have to have my source go here so I could get audio to it. In this particular case, I would have two different ways of hearing this audio, which could potentially cause some interesting issues. Let's see what happens.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
So now you hear it twice because that audio stream is being funneled through two different locations. All right, kill this.
You mind if we get back to the task at hand?
And it only plays, you only hear it once. So you will have to make connection modifications as you go through it, depending on what you have and how complex your environment is. You can obviously insert the ability to make modifications to your audio through some, audio mixer or, sound effects or anything else like that. If you run something like SoundDux or you can have SoundDux connect to your sync, so you can play sounds there, or you could have it connect to your other sync if you don't want it to be heard by your players, but you want to use it for recording. There's lots of things you can do. I hope this gives you enough information to configure your environment and get things running. It's pretty straightforward. It's not that complex. It just, that initial exposure is what usually most people need. One thing I would like to discuss here real quickly is volume control. You will notice as you're setting things up that sometimes the volume in one area is not quite loud enough by the time it gets to some other area, and you may want to adjust volumes for it. You can do that using the WirePlumber control command. As you notice, the syncs have a volume associated with them as well as your sources. So if you need to make an adjustment for volume, it's usually easier just to adjust it here, especially if you can't make too much of an adjustment, or you've reached the maximum you could do in whatever application you're using. I find I'm getting more and more used to just opening up a command line and typing this command, because it's really easy. It's just the wpctl, and you want to type set default, or no, excuse me, not set volume. Set volume. You want the ID, so in this particular case, let's say I want to change my prep sync from 1.5 to like maybe 0.75, maybe I feel like it's too loud. So the ID for that is 37, and then I want to do 0.75. And I now see that my volume is set at 0.75. According to the documentation for this, 1 represents 100% of whatever the device's capacity is, or at least what it defines as 100% within the application. You can obviously set things to be a little bit higher. I wouldn't go too high. It's not really known, or at least I haven't toyed around enough with it to know exactly what the effects of this modification would be on other audio devices by cranking it up really, really high, but I have noticed that like my speaker on my headphone kind of sucks, so I need to really jack it up a little bit for people to really hear it clearly. My headphones don't need to hear things that loud, so I have it down to 0.5 or 50%. So it's a good little thing to know in order to play around with it. There's also another thing. There is a Fantasy Ground Forge item called VLC support, or FGU sound for VLC support, that was created by Tarkonian. Great utility. It provides the ability to have not just a play button, but also a stop button that you can control from here. However, it's limited to specifically to VLC version 2.0 and specifically 2.0.0, but that doesn't have all the features for VLC that I want to have in my environment. Anyway, I hope this helps. If you got any questions, just leave a comment and I'll try to answer your questions. All right, have a good one.